Okay, well, thank you, Judy. We want to welcome everyone to the 74th Annual Dubois County Soil and Water Conservation District meeting. Want to thank everyone who was involved in getting this virtual meeting together for this evening. I'd like to start out with some introductions, and I would like to introduce Glenn Gepner, who is our vice chair. We have Glenn Minke, who is a supervisor. Pat Eckerly, who is a supervisor. Alex Hull, who was a supervisor, has resigned to join the Dubois County Council at the end of 2020. We very much appreciate Alex's work during last year. And myself, Brenda Summersheim, and I serve as chair for the Dubois County Soil and Water Conservation District. Again, thank you so much. Our board has been invaluable in coordinating efforts to provide the service that we need for Dubois County, and very much appreciate everyone's efforts on the board, the staff, our partners. Everyone's been invaluable to get it to the point that we are today. And past years, everyone knows, has been very challenging times associated with the pandemic. And everyone has been wonderful as far as flexibility that we needed to have to meet the client needs, the customer needs, in addition to dealing with the pandemic issues. So again, thanks very much. Andy Helming, was appointed as temporary supervisor for the SWCD to complete Alex's term. So we thank Andy very much for stepping in. We very much appreciate his willingness to do that. We also want to extend thanks to our associate supervisors for all of their work for the SWCD. And those associate supervisors include Alan Smock, Dwayne Hof, and Jack Welp. So again, thanks to those folks. They are extremely valuable in helping us, again, to meet the needs of our community. So thanks so much for what you do. Next up is the 2020 activity reports. I will introduce the staff here as well. I say this every year, but it comes with a great deal of appreciation and pride for the quality of staff that we have. Judy Brown is our executive director. Patty Schrader was our administrative assistant. She has recently retired, actually just a few days ago. So we do want to wish Patty well in the next phase of this exciting journey that we lead in life. We appreciate everything Patty has contributed to the soil and water service over a lot of years. Justin Berry, he's our resource specialist. Melissa Rushaw. Melissa is our project technician. Emily Finch is our invasive species specialist. We have Radius Wiseman. He is our technical specialist. Radius did pass in March of 2020. Radius was just invaluable in that he knew everyone, had a sense of the needs of the community, and was really able to be instrumental in assisting our staff with that knowledge. So our sympathy goes out to his family this evening. Again, we greatly appreciate all of Radius's efforts over a lot of years. We have Bart Pickstick, also a technical specialist, and we have Jennifer Knable Thompson. We want to wish Jennifer well. She has completed the project that she has worked with us on, and she will be leaving us here. And again, thanks goes to Jennifer. She's also been invaluable in in meeting the goals of what we do with soil and water in Dubois County. So thanks, and many best wishes are extended to Jennifer. The staff will be presenting their activity reports for this year. And we also will have election of supervisors, and Glenn Gepner will actually be our chair for the election committee. So I will turn it over at this point to Glenn Gepner. And Glenn, would you like to hold the election at this point?
Oh, excuse me, Brenda, we were going to do the staff reports first, if you don't mind.
Okay, if you want to do that, that's fine as well. Yeah. Judy, I'll turn it over to you then.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the great introduction, Brenda. Melissa, can you go to the next slide, please? E and AC, which is before COVID and after COVID. So early 2020 began much like any other year, with the SWCD staff and supervisors attending our annual conference in Indianapolis. We go every January for networking with other SWCDs across the state, and also to attend informational sessions. A highlight from the conference in 2020 was that our chair, Brenda Summershine, received the Supervisor of the Year award. And the SWCD was also awarded the Earth Team Volunteer Award, recognizing us for our use of volunteers and carrying out our programming. And it feels like 100 years ago that we gathered in the St. Anthony Community Center for last year's annual meeting. And look at us sitting there all around tables, not wearing masks. And it was a year ago, but it just feels like so much longer ago than that. So in mid-March 2020, we started our AC, or after COVID, journey. But despite the stay-at-home order, the SWCD's mission to conserve our natural resources was still our focus. The way we work to achieve this mission is through our projects and programs. Work still continued on our partnership project with the VUJC Land Stewardship Initiative, and work also continued on through our various grant-funded projects and programs. We had several grants that we worked on in 2020. One of them was working on our agreement with the NRCS to assist landowners with the paperwork associated with the Conservation Reserve Program projects throughout the county. We also assist with the Regional Conservation Partnership Program through NRCS that provides EQIP funding and technical assistance to landowners who farm reclaimed mine land. Through the State Department of Agriculture, we have several ongoing Clean Water Indiana projects. One of these projects allowed us to offer $6,000 in cost share to county landowners for cover crop planting. The SWCD matched the clean water dollars, or the clean water funds, dollar for dollar. And the SWCD paid $6,358 in matching funds. So a total of $12,358 was paid out to landowners who put cover crops on their land. A total of 622.08 acres was planted to cover crops, and an additional 108 acres was planted by the landowners in addition to the acres that we were able to pay through the grant program. This project covered 23 counties in Southwest Indiana and had very limited grant funds. In addition to the 622 acres that we were able to fund, we also received about 550 more acres in applications, and we were not able to fund those. So unfortunately, those did go unfunded by us. So another project that we did complete in 2020 was our Tri-County Invasive Species Project, where we utilized the grant funds to hire Emily Finch as our invasive species specialist. Plus, we offered cost share to landowners for invasive species control. We received the 2020 Indiana District Showcase Award for the successes of this project. And in December, we did a virtual presentation on the Zoom platform all about the project and what we had accomplished. A third Clean Water Indiana project that we have ongoing is our pasture project, and we partner with Perry County SWCD on this one. Through this, we offer cost share funds for heavy use area protection and also for other practices for pasture improvement. This project included funds that we used to purchase a soil health test kit for use on landowner farms. Okay, also during the AC or after COVID, our events look so very different. We participated in the Jasper Home Expo in March, but our display was unstaffed as the stay-at-home order was just set to begin, and we wanted to be extra cautious about being around people at that point. We still participated in the 4-H fair, but the projects were all judged virtually and there were no in-person activities. And the annual duck race that's normally held on the Patoka River in May, and we use it as a water quality education moment, it was relocated to the Jasper Municipal Pool and was actually held in July. The staff became very proficient with meeting virtually, beginning with staff meetings in March when we were all working from home, as well as we used Teams or Zoom to plan events that we were going to have over the next few months. Instead of a tour for the county elected officials, we recorded Meet Your SWCD videos, sharing who we are and what we do for the county. Many other videos were made in 2020, including some explaining how to control invasive species and some about the Land Stewardship Initiative. All of the videos were made available on our Facebook page, and they're also available on our YouTube channel. To see them after you log on to the YouTube app, search for Dubois SWCD to find and view all our videos. In 2020, we continued our work on our many watershed projects, including 2 projects funded through EPA 319 Clean Water Act grants. The annual Patoka Lake Watershed Cleanup Day was still held in August, but on a greatly reduced scale. And our local Dubois County Creek Sweep was also scaled back, with individuals or family groups being asked to pick up areas instead of gathering as a large group and working together. A third trash pickup was held in the Hayesville area. All of the trash that's removed from our watershed helps to improve our drinking water quality. It's always amazing to me just how much is out there. And all of this work is accomplished by our talented and dedicated staff. And I'd like to say that I'm very proud of each and every one of them. They do an excellent job in a normal year. And since 2020 was not normal by any stretch of the imagination, I'd say our performance was extraordinary this year, and we all deserve a pat on the back. Okay, the SWCD staff works closely with the staff of the Indiana Conservation Partnership. We're located in the USDA Service Center. Our USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service District Conservationist is Taylor Gunlock. Andrea Gogol is our Indiana Department of Agriculture Division of Soil Conservation Resource Specialist. And Julie Lair is our Watershed Coordinator, and she is housed in the Pike and Gibson County offices. And our ISDA District Support Specialist, Laura Fribley, is located in Southeast Indiana. In closing, I wanted to reiterate a couple of things that Brenda mentioned earlier. In March of 2000, we did lose one of our staff members, Radius Wiseman. His clever wit and his knowledge of the landowners of Dubois County continues to be missed. Jennifer Knable Thompson joined the staff in 2018. She was hired through contribution agreement funds to assist with Farm Bill programs. She assisted with the transition between district conservationists in 2018, and in 2020 was a part of the team that worked to complete the CRP project reviews. She completed her work in February and has stepped away to re-enter retirement. And as Brenda noted, Patty Schrader retired this past week after 9.5 years working with the SWCD. Her competency and knowledge will be sorely missed. And at this time, we do welcome Jessica Condra to the staff, serving as our new administrative assistant. For more details of all of the SWCD 2020 accomplishments, please reference our annual report. It has details and a complete listing of all of the accomplishments from 2020. I would like to acknowledge all of the sponsors we had for the report. whose financial support helped make printing it possible. If you didn't receive a report in your Ferdinand News subscription, please contact the office and we will get one to you. Despite the pandemic, we accomplished much in 2020. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our resource specialist, Justin Berry, for his report.
Yeah, thanks, Judy. I've had a pretty busy year this year. One of the things that I've done is ran the livestock grant that Judy mentioned before. Of course, we offer money for heavy use area protection, and that's basically just a gravel feeding pad that keeps your livestock out of the mud during feeding season and keeps the waste in an area where you can get to it. And one of the good things is it does contain lime. So when you're scraping it off and spreading it on your field, you're also getting lime along with your manure on your field. So another one that we offer is a watering facility, which is essentially a HUAP with the water located in the center of it. One of the biggest jobs this year is me, along with Jennifer Knable Thompson, worked on re-enrollments and status reviews for the Conservation and Reserve Program. A few of the things that I had to go out and check and we had to do paperwork on were filter strips, which is basically a buffer to reduce the amount of sediment and dissolved contaminants coming off the cropland and entering the streams. Another one is a grassed waterway. It basically conveys the runoff into a constructed grass area to prevent gully formation and increase water quality. And then the next is they're two different practices, but they're grass practices. And they basically both just reduce soil erosion, improve water quality, and enhance the habitat for wildlife and pollinators. I'm just going to give a recap of some numbers, pretty staggering numbers. For re-enrolls and new offers in 2020, I conducted 75 practice checks, and mostly Jennifer did this portion of it, 54 plans in conservation desktop. And then for the 2020 status reviews, it included establishment checks and maintenance checks. And we checked a total of 215 practices. So that was a pretty heavy workload on me and Jennifer both. So I was glad to have her help this year.
All right, I'm up next. My name is Melissa Vrushaw, and I am the coordinator, the project technician for the Land Stewardship Initiative. That's the 50-acre farm over on the Vincennes University Jasper campus. 2020 definitely changed my year. Again, kind of that pre-corona, post-corona. There was only two things that were held as live events. The first was a reclaimed mine workshop held at Mill Creek Farms. Kind of recognized that as an issue in the county. There are gentlemen who are now farming land that is reclaimed mine ground and just needed some tips and advice on how to do that, and then some knowledge of what some of the funding is, RCPP, that's available to them. So we thank Dwayne for hosting that, and all the gentlemen and ladies that came to that went away with quite a bit of knowledge from Mark Anson, a producer over from Pike County. And then the final, like literally a week before Corona stopped everything, the Southwest Indiana held its Envirothon contest, and I was asked to be a presenter talking about water, like water quality and watersheds. So this is a three-dimensional watershed model, and the kids are altering the landscape and then allowing it to rain and watching what the water does. And then Corona hit and life changed. During Corona, since they could do it socially distanced, we fixed an issue that it was on one of our fields. This is field 1 on the campus. It's located right across the street from Bonnert Park. It's got a stop log drain system in it, but there was a lower lying area. And if you look at the top picture, you can see just the water would be held there after a large rain. That picture is from 2018. And so one afternoon in April, Bart and Alan went out there and they installed a hidden drain. So they dug down to the tile, added this outlet, and backfilled it with rock. And this is a picture from 2020, and the water being held in that area, it's solved. And so we're not having yield loss due to standing water, which is a wonderful thing. We did host virtually this past February a lunch and learn session. So we spent a lot of 2020 gathering samples and assessing the health of the field in field 2. This is where we have a controlled, we have a tilled strip that we maintain as a tilled strip to be able to compare it to the soil health with no-till and growing cover crops. And so you have a picture of a slake test, a slump test, and you can just see the difference in color and difference of stability in that lower right picture. And the one picture on the right is a water infiltration ring. These are all practices and equipments that I can bring out to a farm and test local landowners' soils. Spent a fair amount of time looking at the microorganisms in the soil, creating a series of Facebook posts, educating landowners about the different microorganisms that live in the soil and the role that they play. So if you look at that fuzzy thing on the left, that's a piece of organic matter, and the larger brown thing is a piece of fungus that's going to grow, and everything else on the screen is bacteria and minerals. And then quite a few, again, Facebook posts were posted, just education about how to calculate bushels per acre, how to know what stage your corn growth is in. So a series of videos from the harvest that were very popular. And then again, a lot of the time of the last year was spent for that lunch and learn. And again, those videos are all on the SWCD YouTube page. So please check those out. And those are the 4 sessions that we held.
All right, thanks, Melissa. I'm Emily Finch. I am the invasive species specialist for the SWCD, and I also cover Davies and Martin County. And 2020, for all its faults, was also a big year for us because it was the final year of a 3-year invasive species grant project funded by Clean Water Indiana that we did in conjunction with Davies and Martin counties. And when you look at the total numbers for the 3 years, the accomplishments that we were able to achieve, from education and outreach, where we participated in 71 events attended by over 1,800 people. And back when we could do big public events like county fairs, estimating to reach over 13,000 more people with information about invasive species. We could not have done all of this work without a great group of volunteers in our local invasive species group who logged over 1,000 hours helping out with this work. One of the other big components of the project was providing direct assistance to landowners in managing invasive species. So I provided technical assistance to landowners, and in total across the 3 years, we had 93 landowners that received technical assistance. Some of them multiple times, whether that was multiple phone calls, going out to their property more than once for a site visit, or just even informal sending pictures, landowners looking for help with identification or control information for their invasives. And of those landowners, we had 58 individuals that received site visits, and 44 of them received customized invasive species management plans for their property. Collectively, all those landowners that were educated manage over 7,000 acres in the 3 counties. So even if they only had me looking at a small portion of their property, that knowledge that they gain will help them in managing everything that they have. We also introduced a invasive species cost share program, which actually, if you want to go back real quick, Melissa, I'll mention Dennis there real quickly. We had over $15,000 was given to landowners, 24 different landowners across the 3 counties who managed 211 acres for invasives just with that money. Most of them are planning to continue their efforts on additional acreage. So moving forward now. Okay, so One of the nice things in 2020 is we actually had a lot of landowners who were interested in having me come out and look at their properties. It was probably one of the biggest years that we had for site visits. I heard from some landowners that it was because that they were working at home, so they saw the invasives more and they couldn't ignore them anymore. And I really wanted to get to know from the landowners what was most beneficial. So I did talk to a few as the grant was wrapping up. And a few even let me quote them and take some pictures. This is one of our landowners from Dubois County with some dead multiflora roads, Dennis Wickman. And he really liked all aspects of the program. So not just the cost share, but having the site visit to the property to help him with species identification, priority for controlling invasives. He's also been active in networking with others in the area now with similar problems. And he's one of the landowners that really took advantage of not just site visits, but if he found a new plant afterwards, he'd send me a picture and I'd help him identify it. It's the only way we actually caught Japanese stiltgrass on his property. Next slide. All right, so there's the one-on-one connection, but we also went big in 2020. As the project was wrapping up, we had some extra funds we needed to reallocate. And one of the ways that the grant let us do that was we actually paid for several billboards in the 3 counties. And in the past, local invasive species groups had focused on education outreach on calorie pear or Bradford pear, which is a major invasive. And we felt maybe that the community was starting to get the hint on that. So we decided to switch to another invasive that many folks are not aware of, which is burning bush. And we worked with the billboard company to come up with this very eye-catching design. And we're hoping to use it again if we can find the funding. Next slide. And of course, like all the other programs, we adjusted to COVID. Our invasive species groups had several Zoom meetings, but as things started to do better in the community and as it neared the 1-year mark, we also started doing hybrid meetings. So the picture in the upper left is our Invasive Species Awareness Coalition meeting at SciPac. We had several people join us in person, but on the tripod, we had our new tablet set up and also had several people connected to the meeting virtually on Microsoft Teams. So that actually ended up going pretty well. We produced several videos on invasive species, actually 3 different ones on poison hemlock that are available on the YouTube page. And we even tried to reach out to schools, as they were trying to adjust to COVID. And instead of doing what we would normally do and go into the classroom, I pre-recorded a presentation, kind of invasive species 101 for some high school students so that teachers could use it in whatever way worked best for their schedule. Next slide. And lastly, we were fortunate enough to be awarded another grant to support my position that will be running 2021 through 2023. It's another project where we are partnering with Davies and Martin counties. The new highlight of this project will be that we will be conducting roadside invasive plant surveys, targeting some of those key roadside invasives, such as poison hemlock and Phragmites, recording those down, and hopefully reaching out to the landowners with information on control work. Unfortunately, our project did not receive continued funding for our cost share program for landowners. However, after we get this roadside survey underway, we might be reevaluating that and seeing if there are other funding sources that might be able to resurrect that program into the future.
All right, I guess I'm up. I am Julie Lair, the watershed coordinator in Dubois, Pike, and Gibson County. Have been working for several years now, it seems like, on the Middle Patoka. we did a round of implementation that was quite successful and asked for a second round of implementation. Those are $319 that come into the county to help producers with best management practices that would improve water quality and soil health. And that is about ready to wrap up. We have that through August of this year. And there is about $40,000 left on that grant to spend for best management practices. And I am working with several producers in Dubois to try and spend those funds before August. So hopefully we're able to get through all that funding and get there before we have to turn that money back over to IDEM. That's my goal, is to spend it all in Dubois County. And then we are currently working on the Lower East Fork White River watershed with a watershed management plan. The counties have to have a watershed management plan in effect and approved. You can go ahead and go forward, Melissa. Approved and ready for approved by IDEM, which is the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, and also approved by EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, before we can ask for dollars into the areas that have been deemed critical. So IDEM did a bunch of water sampling, and then I was able to work through those, analyze all that data. And then that came up with areas that were what IDEM would consider critical. What that means is those are the sub watersheds within the Lower East Fork White where money will be targeted first. Those red watersheds in this picture are where the critical are. We have Aikman Creek in Davies County, Mud Creek in Pike County, and Birch Creek in Dubois. And the first of the dollars will be focused in those areas. There is $161,000 secured through that 319 grant to implement those best management practices. I have had producers contact me and ask me what qualifies. There is a list of best management practices NRCS has, but IDEM only looks at those that would address water quality. So that would be things like a grass waterway or a water and control sediment basin, something like that. I wouldn't be able to cost share on things that doesn't improve water quality, but cover crops, grass waterways, filter strips, things like that are all that would be eligible. So I'll be sending out information as soon as this watershed management plan is complete and approved. We'll be sending out information on what when we're going to spend that money, and I will be looking for producers in that Birch Creek watershed to see if they would want to look at doing a grass waterway or cover crops or precision ag, that sort of thing that would help us with nutrient loads in that area. After that first hit on these tier 1 criticals, then we'll move to tier 2 criticals, which are the yellow watersheds. And that would be Hoffman Run and Mill Creek in Dubois County. So as we work through this, I just will keep Dubois County SWCD involved with publicizing on that Facebook or in their newsletter or in the local newspaper what we're trying to do and try to get producers ready. Producers in the county can always contact Justin Berry or Judy at the SWCD to see about getting on the list for those fundings. And then always I'm available to be contacted as watershed coordinator as well. All right, next slide was, do you have one more? So when you look at that big red watershed, it was hard to see exactly where that is located. So I produced this map, which now shows some of the roadways. You can see down at the bottom, Jasper, and then how it goes up into Hayesville is more of our Birch area. So if you're looking at Portersville, though, it's just south of Portersville is in that Mud Creek. And then you can see some of those roadways. So that could help producers figure out whether they are in that Mud Creek or Birch Creek watershed to know whether they need to contact me or not to see about signing up for some of that funding that's going to be coming. 161,000 we're not going to need to spend like in a year. So I'm going to start working with producers and getting them on board as soon as this watershed plan is approved by EPA.
Melissa, we have lost the share screen.
Brenda, I do believe that was the end of all of the staff reports, so we can move ahead on the agenda.
Okay, so I'll move forward then. Thank you all so much again for all of the activity and what was really a challenging year related to the pandemic. So everyone, I think, deserves a pat on the back. Someone mentioned earlier for accomplishing what we were able to do this year. Moving on, I'll again turn it over to Glenn Gepner. Kind of jumped the gun earlier in the meeting, but I think we are now ready for Glenn, and he will be conducting the election for office of supervisor. So Glenn.
Evening, I'm Glenn Gepner. I'm chair of the SWCD election committee. Glenn Minke and Judy Brown are also members of the election committee. Our election process is set forth by Indiana code. The supervisors of the SWCD are elected officials of the state of Indiana and have established duties and responsibilities. 2 supervisors are appointed for 3-year terms. I would like to note that Patrick Eckerly's term as an appointed supervisor ends at tonight's meeting. Patrick was reappointed. Reappointment was approved by the State Soil Conservation Board. Because we are not meeting in person, Patrick will complete and sign his oath of office in front of a notary public. Thanks, Patrick, and congratulations. 3 supervisors are elected for 3-year terms. To be eligible to serve as a supervisor, the individual must be of voting age, must maintain their permanent residence within the district, and be qualified by training and experience to perform the duties of a supervisor. The term of a supervisor begins at the annual meeting and continues for 3 years. At the end of 2020, Alex Hull resigned from his position as an elected supervisor. Andy Helming was appointed to serve out the rest of his term. Due to the need for virtual annual meetings in 2021, we have worked with the Public Access Council's office on how to conduct our election to be in compliance with Indiana code. We published our public notice stating that the SWCD was accepting nominations for the office of supervisor. The deadlines to submit nominations was Friday, March the 5th. 1 nomination was submitted, that of Andy Helming. The election committee ensured that he meets the qualifications, and he has agreed to have his name on the ballot for a 3-year term. Andy, do you wish to address the attendees this evening?
I just want to say thank you. It's for the opportunity to just be nominated for this position. I like the work of the Soil and Water, and I feel honored to be able to be nominated for this position.
Okay, thanks, Andy. We will now conduct our election for the supervisor. An individual of voting age or a representative of a firm, company, or corporation that owns or rents land located within the county may vote. Eligible individuals also include the owner and tenant of the same land, as well as any owners and or tenant spouses. Are there any questions regarding voter eligibility? Since Andy is the only nominee, we can vote by a show of hands. Everyone, please turn your cameras on if you have one. All in favor of Andy serving a 3-year term as SWCD supervisor, please raise your hand or say aye if you don't have a camera. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Andy. Since we are meeting virtually, Andy's oath of office will be completed and signed in front of a notary public. Thanks everybody for participating.
Okay, thank you very much, and congratulations, Andy. We appreciate you accepting the nomination, and again, wish you congratulations on the nomination and being a part of our board. At this point, we will turn it over to Judy Brown, and Judy will be going over the 2020 financial report.
Sorry, I was trying, excuse me, I was trying to pull that slide up.
I can pull it up for you, Judy, here.
Okay.
Let me just make this screen big now. There you go.
All right.
Everyone seeing it?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so at the beginning of 2020, we started with a beginning balance of $58,853.14. We did have some income. We received financial support from the county as well as the state, and also through some of our Clean Water Indiana grants and other grants such as contribution agreements. So we received $49,924.29. We had income from the LSI project and rental of our farm equipment amounting to $27,457.59. And we had miscellaneous revenue that came from the annual meeting, interest on the checking account, sales of equipment, and other sources. That totaled $11,267.71. The subtotal of the receipts is $88,649.59. So when you add that to the beginning balance, that subtotal is $147,502.73. Moving into the disbursements, we paid out money for the cost share programs through the grants. Also had some inputs into the land stewardship initiative. So that amount totaled $85,349.12. We had $6,039.52 in conservation education programs. Supplies and equipment expense was $5,688.54. And then we also had miscellaneous expenses towards the annual meeting, audit, postage dues, and other expenses totaling $28,828.49. The subtotal of all the disbursements is $125,905.67. So if you take the total of the balance forward, subtract the disbursements, the balance remaining at the end of December was $21,597.06. If anyone is interested in a complete breakdown of all of the receipts and disbursements, we do have a complete financial report in our annual report, or we can provide one by email if anyone wants to see more detail on that. We did have all of our salaries for all of the staff was paid by the county. That totaled $143,086. And the fringe, such as our insurance and other benefits, was $19,327. And then we did have $40.26 remaining in the petty cash fund at the end of the year. So again, if anyone has any questions or would like more detail, you can either ask or please get with me and I can get more detail to you.
Thank you, Judy. Is there anything else regarding the financial reports?
Not have anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, I want to reiterate what Judy had mentioned regarding the salary support from the county. We greatly appreciate the county commissioners and county council's involvement and the support of Dubois County Soil and Water. Without their support, we wouldn't have the staff we wouldn't have the quality of staff that we do, wouldn't be able to accomplish the projects and programs for the benefit of the Dubois County landowners. So again, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate that support. Again, we mentioned Alex Bull will be joining the Dubois County Council. Because of this, he did resign from our missed. We do appreciate and want to recognize him for his service to the board. He did serve one term on the board. And again, we'll be presenting a recognition to him for his service and a thank you. So again, we greatly appreciate everything that he's contributed to the board and Dubois County for his term. I also want to extend congratulations to our new administrative assistant. Judy Brown had introduced her earlier in the program here, but we also want sincere congratulations to her being a part of our staff, and want to wish her the best as she starts her career with Dubois County Soil and Water. Again, that new administrative assistant is Jessica Condra. So again, congratulations for the new position that Jessica, actually existing position, but person coming aboard. So we're thrilled to have Jessica with us. Want to wish again Patty very well. Patty was invaluable to the service for Dubois County Soil and Water. And we want to again wish Patty Schrader as she goes into her next phase of an exciting career and exciting venture beyond that. So again, thank her for everything that she's done. And also Jennifer Knable Thompson. Again, she was also an invaluable part, and will start her next phase in an exciting future here, I'm sure, and we'll go back into retirement again. So want to wish Jennifer well. That being said, is there any other business that we need to bring before the board? Are there any partners that would want to address the board at this time? If not, then I think, Judy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that brings us to the end of our program and presentations. Anything else, Judy, that you might have?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much. We appreciate everyone's patience as we work through this virtual meeting this evening. Again, thanks everyone for flexibility as we dealt with the pandemic and how we needed to do things this last year. Hopefully next year we will get back to the normal in-person meeting. Again, thanks so much everyone for all of your support as we came through last year and are still working with the pandemic. So at this point, if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? There we go. We got a nod that it's okay. We will adjourn the meeting. Again, thank you very much. Dubois County Soil and Water will hold a reorganizational meeting in about 5 minutes after the conclusion of this annual meeting. So anyone that is on the call is welcome to stay and participate if they are interested. So again, thank you so much.